Now it seems the best possible outcome ends with both Greg and Jamie dead. That's the remedy your justice system offers, an eye for an eye. But I'm going to see this through. I would do anything to get justice for Greg.
Hey, what's up? What's going on, everybody? You have now tuned in to my power recap. Guys, make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet done so, and share this video wherever you like to share videos. Don't forget to also, give it that good old thumbs up, if anything. So, let's talk about it. First of all, shout out to my YouTube family, my YouTube cousin, Mike B, who was like one of my supporters, pointed me to a clip of Greg's hands on James' head during the traffic stop. Because remember last week I really did ask you guys, like, okay, where did this whole DNA stuff come from? I don't remember this. Like, when did he touch him? And shout out to Michael Create, who was like, when Greg pulled Ghost over in his car, he put Ghost's hands behind his back and put hands in his head. Makes so much sense now. And finally, I was like, who do you think pisses you off the most? Because for me, I don't know, I think it's kind of Angela, but other people piss me off as well. And shout out to Kat Harlem, who said Angela, Kanan, and Tariq all work my nerves. So I guess it's hard to like just pick one, but I think if I had to choose one, it would possibly be Angela, and I'll tell you why later. So now it seems like stuff is really getting real, honey, because it opens up with Andre getting taken by the feds, Júlio getting taken by the feds, and Lakeisha getting taken. So it was just like a really weird thing. I'm like, uh-oh, everything about to crumble. Everything is falling right now. So following that, Angela, she went to go and view Greg's body, but not really view it because it was like a closed casket. And I'm wondering why. I'm thinking maybe he got shot in the face, but, they didn't really show, I don't think at the end, like where he got shot by Mike, because I remember he got shot and he was still alive, but then he shot him more times than that. So maybe one of them could have been in the face or something. But now we also get introduced to a new councilman. I think that's what we would say, right? Like a new defender for Jamie, and his name was Terry Silverman. So Terry, he comes in the jail, like, without even formally introducing himself or who he was. And he starts asking Jamie questions. And he like, hey, brother, I don't know you. I ain't telling you all of my business. He didn't even really feel comfortable telling him anything. Like, even after Proctor came and kind of, like, formally introduced him, said who he was. He's going to be the second chair. I guess it's kind of good because he's kind of like a neutral party. He doesn't really have too much information about the case. He's not too like personally connected or anything like that, as opposed to Proctor, who's both connected to James as well as Tommy. And he has a pretty high success rate on top of that. So yeah, he's gonna be working alongside him. They do show James some photos of the whole scene from Greg's house, and he did notice that one thing was different, which was the fact that there was now a phone that was in the desk, which that was not there before. So he's like, yo, somebody put that there. Somebody's is pretty much they doing a setup. So that kind of opens their eyes, but there is no proof. Like, there's no way for him to actually say, like, okay, this is how I know, because it's just because he was in the house, and that's going to make you look even worse, Tommy talks to Tariq, and he gets a little heart-to-heart moment with him. But I felt like it didn't really go anywhere. Plus, he has Kanan, and he just kind of I feel like the reason why he's so invested in Kanan right now is because he's kind of missing that fatherly attention. Because, either his father was always working, or if he's not working, he's out doing his thing. So, or he's with Angela. So it's like he's not getting that attention. And especially now, he's really lacking that. At least before, he kind of had Sean, like, holding him down as a good guy, like showing him the right path, taking him to play basketball and all these things. Now he doesn't have that, which is why a lot of kids, they tend to join gangs and things like that, because they don't have that love at home. I don't think I've ever seen anyone who was in a really good, loving family that makes money. I mean, sometimes the family can make money, but they're just like neglectful of the kids. Like a really good home that jumps into a gang, it's always that they're missing some kind of love somewhere. Now the feds, they grill both Julio and they grill Andre, but you know what? They was loyal to a fault. Like, they wasn't saying nothing. Those are the kind of people that you really need down for you. You know, people that's going to be like on some, nah, he's a good man. He's always been a good man. He's taking me out the hood, blah, 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 blah. Even though they try to like force you to say stuff, like keeping your ground, holding your own and not saying nothing. That's what both of them was doing. With Lakeisha, she's not really cut out for that type of lifestyle. Like, she's thug life, but like street thug life, you know? Not even street thug life. Like, if she got to fight somebody, she'll do that. But as far as being a criminal and all the extra stuff that comes with it and being like a first lady to crime, that's not really her thing, you know? So she kind of messed up a little bit because Angela was asking her stupid questions that she already knew Angela had the answers to. So she gave it a smart mouth. Like, you already know these answers. Like, when they was asking, like, oh, when did he leave and this and that. And were they together? And, you know, she's like, you're the one who did everything. So you should know these answers. I don't know why you asking me these questions. So it come to find out the reason why she asked her these questions was so they could possibly say that they're not together. She was more of an accomplice and just kind of put her on the stand against Jaimes, which of course would push his hand because their kids would have to go in foster care and things like that if both of them were to go to jail. Now the white dude in jail, the same one that we saw, he is like pretty much a boss, okay? He got a little phone in there. He got a little connection. So he calls up one of his boys and, you know, puts in the word to find out information about Jaimes because he's seen how he like broke the dude's wrist. And he finds out that Jaimes is AKA Ghost. He's running the streets. He got a boy named Tommy Egan. You know, they've been doing their things for a minute. And he's like, bingo, I got this. So Tariq, he's off the handle, but this time around it was kind of warranted because some kid was trying to like pick on his sister and make her cry and talk about, oh, your father didn't mention this in career day, showing like a picture of her father going to jail or whatever. So Tariq came, pushed him up against the wall and just kind of was like, nah, you ain't gonna be talking to my sister like this, you know, kind of shut that down. And then he ends up leaving school to go meet up with Kanan, you know. I'm like, what if they pick on her again? Where you gonna be at? Like, you seem like you care so much, but you out. Like, what you doing, bro? So now, y'all, once again, they answered the question that you guys helped me out with, and I was struggling, like, what is going on? They mentioned the whole, like, DNA and how he got pushed up against the wall, well, the car and all that. When Terry and Proctor were speaking to Jaimes. So that really cleared up everything. Plus, you guys had already cleared it up. So I knew from last week, like, okay, this is what happened. You know, that's why it's good when y'all talk, because I'm like, yes, okay. It really helps me to understand. So now the dude Bailey, he was following Angela when she had went to the funeral. Like, he was like watching her, and I'm like, who is this dude? But it came to like that his name was Bailey. He's one of Greg's friends, and I feel like I remember Greg talking to him before. Am I right or am I wrong? Am I just making that up in my head? But I feel like I've seen Greg talk to him before. So now he's convinced that she's the bad one and that Greg needs to be shown in a good light. You know, he needs to get the colors on his grave, or, you know, get that big formal, you know, I died in the line of duty type of funeral, as opposed to just like being named a bad guy. So, you know, that's what he's pretty much coming to her with. And, well, he put on the table. That was actually not when he met with Angela. He met with like the whole team and was telling them that because they want to put him on the stand. But he was like, the only way he'll do it is if they exonerate, or they pretty much clear Greg's name and just kind of put it out there that he was a good person. They were like, they can't really guarantee that. So he was like, well, that's the end of our conversation then. Bailey then moves to see Angela and let her know that he blames her. This is when he actually spoke to her, and that she needs to say she's the mole. And she's like, I'm not going to do that because that's not who I am. I'm like, it's funny how she don't want to, you know, say that she's something she's not, but yet she's telling Jamie to do that, which we'll get to in a little bit. So he was like, you know what? We need to do this so that everything can be set straight. Like, all the good things can happen. He was like, you need to go to jail. Greg needs to get his colors, and James needs to get the needle like he deserves. And I'm just like, wait, getting a needle and dying, going to jail, never being able to practice law again, and looking like an idiot in front of your peers, and possibly getting beat up in prison, and Greg getting his colors. Seems like it's 2 out of 3 that are bad, so I don't think I would really want to go with that one. You know, like, that doesn't sound like a good thing. You know what I mean? Where's the good at again? So now, following that, Júlio, he meets with Andre and just kind of tells him that there's way too much heat right now and he needs to shut down the club movement of the drugs. And he was just like, he pretends that he's like, okay, but then once he leaves, he's telling the girl, like, don't say nothing to nobody, keep it moving, keep it pushing. Bailey, he's really trying to, like, clear Greg's name, and he meets with the white Fed Sachs. And he gives him the scenario and, you know, just kind of tells him what he knows and things like that. And Sachs looks like he's going to see what he can do to kind of assist. He did go and meet with the judge at one point, but it just didn't really go too well. The judge really seemed like he just wanted to show his nuts to him. It was just like a weird situation. And it was weird that Sachs was just kind of like, oh, fuck me in the ass. And I was like, wait, what? Like, who says that? Like, I know I've gotten in bad situations, and my first words that came to mind was not like, F me in the ass. You know, it was kind of like, F me or F my life or, I can't, you know, something like that. But that was like a whole nother level. Like, okay, bro. No, you know, okay, do your thing. If that's what you think is right. You know, it was just kind of odd to hear him say that. So the white dude in jail, he talks to Jamie now, and he tells Jamie that, you know, he knows that he's Ghost, and Jamie kind of was like, I don't know what you're talking about, you got the wrong guy, and he was just putting stuff out there, like, I know you run with Tommy Egan, and you've been slaying drugs since this and this, and just kind of putting it all on the table. He was like, if you don't want me to talk, then you're going to send $20,000 a week to this location. And here we go. So, I mean, he pretty much looks like he's going to comply because it's like, damn, if I don't, this guy's in jail too. He can possibly go to John, get a deal, and get a lower sentence. Like, people will do anything when they feel like they're in a desperate situation. So, you know, we already know his wife has cancer, so he's trying to get the treatment for her, the experimental treatment. So that's what this is all about. So Terry and Proctor, they are meeting with James in jail, and lo and behold, Miss Angela walks in, and she comes in wanting to speak to Jamie alone, but they wasn't having it. They're like, nah, anything you could say to him, you want to say to us. And he was like, I don't trust you, so you want to talk in front of them. So she puts it out on the table. He needs to confess. Otherwise, they can possibly put Tasha on the stand, put her against him, you know, and they're trying to show that they weren't really together. They weren't married. So he's like, this is not, like, you know I didn't do this. He's like, that's sloppy. That's not something I would do. They was like, whoa, 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 bro. Like, yeah, you're kind of implementing that you did other stuff and you wouldn't do it this way if this was, he's like, they're like, chill. Don't say anything else. Because, like, you know, he's so comfortable with her, but it's like she's still law enforcement at the end of the day, so he still has to be careful what he says to her. Obviously, right? So, yeah, that pretty much ended off nowhere. I mean, Terry kind of tells Proctor that he needs to move forward and tell him to just put Tommy out there, but he's like, no. And plus, like, at the end of the day, Proctor is also Tommy's attorney as well, so it's kind of like a conflict of interest. He is, like, invested into this. Tommy brings him product. Like, that's like his boy, you know, in a sense. They have history. As opposed to Terry. Terry just wants to win. Andre goes to see Tommy, and he tells him that Júlio wants to shut stuff down in the club. And to my surprise, Tommy is just like, nah, keep it pushing. Do what you got to do. He's like, you know, I got this on lock. And I'm just like, Tommy, like, you know that James would not want this to be going down if he was here. Like, that's his one thing, his one real business that he has that he's worked so hard for and that he's actually proud of, you know? And they just effing it up right now that he's away. And I think that if it does go down, he probably wouldn't be so reluctant to not put Tommy out there, you know, and he'd probably not care about Tommy as much if truth was to get closed down due to drugs, because Tommy's supposed to be holding things down and doing things the way he would do it. But Tommy's eyes is only thinking about the money. So, and Andre also tries to, like, put Julio out there in a negative light. But you already know, like, Tommy ain't really feeling Julio, just because I think he kind of feels like Ghost respects Julio a little bit more, but yet they're the ones that grew up together. So he ain't really feeling him like that regardless. But he allows him to be close because he knows that he knows the most, you know? Tariq partners with Kanan to set up one of his friends. At first, I was kind of looking at the pictures, and the pictures kind of remind me of the boy that he had the argument with in school. But then the dude that was sitting down in the chair, he had, like, black hair. Unless there was something that I missed. I don't know. But, yeah, he sets him up. And I feel like it's going to come back to Tariq possibly. Because how you was just there with him now, all of a sudden, in the night, like, people have the code. Like, I feel like if they didn't have the code, it would be a little different. But because they had the code, they came in seamlessly. Like, it's going to show that it's an inside job. So, y'all effing up right there. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and I'm just like, yo, what is homeboy needing all this money for? Like, don't he still live with, what's her name, his cousin? And he's still there with her in that little apartment or whatever. Like, you're living a really, like, poor life. So why do you need all this money? Like, what are you getting? He doesn't have a hot car from what I remember. He doesn't have, like, jewels like that. So it's like, what's the point of, like, is it just because he has that criminal mindset that he needs to see all this money? Because you're not living in a mansion. You're not, like, you just straight thugging it. Like, what are you doing with the money? You getting $15,000 every week from Andre to keep him alive, like you said. So what's the point? So Bailey speaks to Mike now, because Mike ends up, like, desperately coming to see him. Like, oh, I have information to tell you. The reason why Greg had called me, because he put it out there that Greg called Mike. The reason why Greg had called me is because he felt that Angela was the mole. Now he trying to take the heat off of himself, because he's shook. He's starting to get worried because he didn't realize that he left loose ends. Like, dude is sloppy. And that's exactly what that's exactly what Jamie was mentioning. Like, all this stuff is sloppy, and that wouldn't be me. That's not what I do. You know what I mean? Like, my is gonna be flawless, and that's it. You know, like, she should already know that, because she's seen him work a little something. You know, when he had that whole situation with the Hispanic guy, and how him and Tommy, like, pretty much, like, took him out. You know, right under her nose. All right, so following that, he kind of tells him, like, everything that he, like, not everything, but some of the things that he knows, like, and that fact that he has audio and stuff like that. And I think he could tell and sense that this guy was getting real shook and stuff like that. So I think Bailey kind of has a feeling about him, because even, like, he was like, you know, this is not the time or the place to talk about this. We'll meet somewhere else. I feel like Mike might try to kill him, but then it would look suspicious because James is in jail, so he can't really do too much. I think that Bailey should kind of BS and say that this sounds like another guy who was on the audio, or I don't know, something to just get him even more scared, you know? And I feel like Bailey does kind of feel a certain way about him, because even on his computer, he had a file where he was looking up information on Mike Sandoval. So I feel like he kind of knows something. He had him and somebody else, but I didn't see who the other person's name was. So yeah, I feel like he's kind of knowing something ain't right, but he's not really pinpointing it. But Mike coming to him kind of did seem like a little desperate times call for desperate measures. Like, why are you so thirsty to tell me this information? So now it's time for a trial, and Proctor, he's on fire with Terry. He just kind of, well, Terry comes in and hands him this little flash drive, and he was like on fire with that information, because he has the video that from the traffic camera that shows that Greg in fact did push up on Jaime, put him against the car, touch his head, like do all these things. So that's how the DNA, it shows the time, the date, you know, their cell phones pinged in the same tower. So this is from that night. Like there's no way you can say that it's not. So it just kind of rectifies that situation a little bit. They tried to, like the other side tried to say, no, you know, can't use that. But he put it out there that she did know, Angela did know, you know, but they never mentioned this. So why didn't they bring this up? So that kind of made them look bad. And John did admit that he was told this information, but he didn't put it out there. So, you know, that kind of made their whole defense look bad, and it was thrown out. It's inadmissible. It's not the word, inadmissible. Yeah, inadmissible. I'm trying to sound a little smart, you guys. Like I'm a little lawyer on this side, a little paralegal. Yeah, inadmissible in court. So yeah, I was like, yes, and then he tried to also push it and get all the charges removed. He's like, okay, let's not jump the gun. We still have that gun that we got to talk about, you know, the one that was found at his club that was used to kill him. Yeah, let's not push it. We're not throwing out everything, you know, but I mean, Proctor tried it though. He tried. So yeah, that was really awesome. But now it looks like Angela's really going to actually be a little more involved in the case, because I guess John feels bad that he didn't really take her seriously when she had mentioned that information before, and was kind of trying to hide it, if you want to say that. So now Terry and James, they speak privately, and this was kind of like a really touching scene for me, because Terry, he kind of shows his true colors and how he like really judges Jaime. And Terry says that, you know, he's worked hard and James has had it easy to get where he is. And it's almost like he feels jealous of Jaime, that Jaime got to where he is without going to school and working hard. But James showed him a different side and let him know, like, you know, you're the one who had it easy. I didn't have a mother and a father to put me through school and, you know, buy my books and things like that. I had to work and hustle. You know, he didn't really say those words, but that's pretty much what he was saying, was I had to work and hustle and bust my ass. And that's the whole thing. Like, you know, one black person can get somewhere so good, and they see somebody else like getting it easy, if you want to say, and they'll just judge them and look down upon them, you know, because they both had the thing about it is, although you both struggle, you had different struggles. And, you know, James actually didn't have it very easy from the life that he says he's had. Like, his father was an alcohol abuser. His mother, I don't remember what happened with his mother, but I think she wasn't really that there or whatever. And, you know, obviously he didn't have the best upbringing. He didn't have anybody handing him things on a silver platter or a silver spoon in his mouth. But there are some black people who do have that. Like, not every black person had a bad situation, but some, you know, they had to work harder than others. You know, they both had their own life situations. And I'm sure both of them probably experienced racism in some sense of the form of the word, you know, somewhere. But, you know, because Terry has gotten himself to this situation, this position in life, he feels like he's better than him. And he just kind of put it out there that no matter how hard that Jaime tries to convince himself that he's otherwise, those little it's attached to his back right now will show him who he really is. And I was just like, oh, this is powerful right here. Guys, thanks for watching. I mean, that was my power recap, just kind of going over it and saying my little 2 cents here and there. Let me know what you thought about the episode down below. You know, thanks for watching. Stay fabulous, live free, and soar limitless. And don't forget to put those comments for shout outs on my next episode. And see you in the next one later.